Hi everyone, Dom Famularo here. The Artist Series at a Distance. It just gets better and better and better. Britt Lightning, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Britt, you are a wonderful player, and I know you're with Vixen now, and as a lead guitarist, you really play with such a great level of passion and energy and just sheer enthusiasm in every note that you play. It's really fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You know, if you're not having fun and you're not excited about it, you can find something else to do, right?
Well, and that's an interesting philosophy, and that's a very, very important philosophy to build on because you obviously are passionate about what you're doing. You're having fun with it, and you're out there just playing great and really enjoying this journey. But I want to kind of ask, how did guitar enter your life? And as a female in this crazy business, how did it start?
So I always loved music. My parents weren't big into music. My mom liked disco and anything she could work out to. My dad really only knew about Hank Williams. So not huge music people, but I always enjoyed listening to it. You know, when you get to pick an instrument in elementary school, I grabbed the flute and I loved learning an instrument. I loved that discipline. And I joined every ensemble I could, wind ensemble, jazz ensemble. And I did that through middle school. Then we moved and right the summer before high school, and I was comforter shopping with my mom in a Ralph Lauren store. And I heard Eruption, but I didn't know what it was. And it blew my mind. I didn't know what instrument it was or anything. I was clueless, but it changed me. I think maybe I was just bored in the store, and this just had such an impact on me. And so I asked the store clerk what it was because my mom definitely didn't know. And they said Van Halen. So I said, so Mom, here's the thing. I've been shopping with you, bored out of my mind all day. There's a record store down the street. I think I deserve a trip. So anyways, we went and I bought a bunch of Van Halen records and I just studied them, and I just became so into rock from that. And I just knew that I wanted to be able to play Eruption, not necessarily be a rock star, play in bands. I wanted to be able to master what I had heard because I just thought it was phenomenal. So then I had moved, like I said, to a new town, and I ended up going to a private Catholic school, which was actually ironic because my mother's Israeli. I had a bat mitzvah, but my dad, but my dad's Italian, Catholic, so it worked. But there were no art or music programs. It was all just, the regular curriculum, no extracurricular stuff. So one day after school, I heard a guitar. I was dilly-dallying around, and I was like, "What is that?" So I followed the sound, I heard the electric guitar, and one of the teachers, Mr. Russo, had his room open, and there were a couple boys in there playing guitar, just jamming around. And I popped my head in, and I was like, "What's going on here?" And they were like, "This is a guitar club." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I just was lingering like awkwardly. And they were like, "Do you play guitar?" And I was like, "No, but I want to." And so they were like, "Psh, you don't play guitar, you don't belong here." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So anyways, I wandered out, and then the teacher came after me and was like, "Hey, are you really interested in playing guitar, or do you have a crush on one of these boys here?" And I was like, no, I don't know anything about guitar. I'll say that, but I'm dead set on learning to play. And that's like, I'm going to do it one way or another. So he said, "You know what? I'll show you a couple chords after school, a couple days a week. And so you can just hang, get the vibe and hang with these guys in here and know something." And he ended up helping me out a lot, learn my, G, C, and D chords. And then he was like, "You should play in the liturgical music group that we do every Wednesday." And which was great because I hated sitting through mass. We weren't religious like that. So that was kind of my first experience playing on a stage, playing these, religious songs and practicing my chords, which was awesome. And I will say, I think I was the only person that ended up bringing in a distortion pedal to the mass one day. Got in trouble for it, but it happened.
I love it, man. Now you're bringing in some real rock and roll into the church, man. I love that.
Yeah. So anyways, then I ended up just wanting to really show these guys that I could hang. And so that whole next year, I just worked my butt off. And I eventually was guitar club president. A couple of years later, we started these coffee houses that we would do in the school cafeteria once a month. And so that was like my first rock and roll experience. Yeah.
So were you working out of books at all to learn? Were you taking lessons? How was What was the process?
Really just studying records. And there was this one guitar website back in the day. It was like World Guitar, I think it was. And it had this tiny little jukebox thing, like a really bad website, you know, and it had like 6 MP3s with tabs. And it was a part of Comfortably Numb solo, a part of Wish You Were Here solo, a part of Purple Haze, just a couple classic Santana, a couple classic things. And I really worked on those 6 little excerpts for a very long time. And then I went to a local music store and, learned the pentatonics and the power chords, but mostly just learning from jamming with the other kids in the guitar club after school and listening to records, trying to figure it all out.
So a couple of questions. First of all, what was it about Eddie Van Halen that you think reaches people, that pulls them into wanting to play guitar? What was it about Eddie that did that for you?
Oh, I think it's like, even if you're not seeing him, you hear the excitement in his playing. There's just this energy and happiness. You know, when you see him play, it matches what you see. You know, he's got this giant smile and he's jumping around and he's so fun. And I think his guitar is just so much fun to listen to.
So what was it at this point? Were you playing with other musicians and putting bands together? Were you starting to jam? What was that like?
Okay, so I made my sister pick up the drums. So I kind of started jamming that way, and then found a bass player in high school. So we would do these cover songs at the monthly coffee houses. And then my first real band experience, I went to Daddy's Junkie Music. You must remember that, being from New York. Absolutely. And so I was testing out amps there because I decided I needed an upgrade, you know, after I'd been playing 1 year, needed to get the full head and cabinet, really, really blow my parents' minds, setting that up in the living room. I was testing out amps and the store manager came over and was like, "Hey, are you in a band?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Do you want to be?" And I was like, "Yep." And so that was a band called Stillwell Angel. They were a rock band. We played around town. That was the first time. I mean, I was only like 16, maybe 17. It was fun because, like, you know, instead of just going to bed at night, I was like getting X's on my hands and I was playing in clubs around Boston. So that was super exciting for me. And there was this one moment where we went on our first tour and I was away from my parents completely. We were in Baltimore. I had played a gig. People said I was good. I had a beer, and I just felt this overwhelming sense of freedom walking around a new city all by myself. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Well, I love the fact that you made that kind of commitment at that time. So you're playing with the band. What kind of tunes were you playing with that band?
Original rock. Yeah.
Well, original rock stuff. So were you doing any of the writing with them?
Most of it had already been written, but we worked on some new songs too. Yeah. So
you're really kind of stepping into now you're starting to offer ideas. You're working on original songs. You're really in this incredible learning process.
Yes. But I was working with all people that were older and more experienced. So I learned a lot fast. So that was helpful.
So you're getting paid now. You're a professional musician. You're getting paid and you are now tasting the industry.
Yeah. So I could quit Dairy Queen. You know, you always have a job through high school, right? So I didn't have to do that anymore. I could play gigs in bars during high school instead of working at the ice cream store. So it worked out.
That is so fantastic. So when did Jaded come into play, which was the all-female band in Boston area? What was that?
Yeah, like? So that started end of high school. I think my senior year of high school. I met this drummer, Hillary. She was in a trio, and the trio had split up, and I had seen them, and heard about them, and she was just like this awesome female drummer that was just totally kick ass. They had a manager, and so he was looking to kind of piece back that band after the lead singer had quit and everything. But then they saw me play, and the drummer and I were just like meshed right away. And she's still one of my closest friends. And we were just, you know, same passion and drive level, and wanted to do this, started writing original songs and took some of the songs from her old band as well. Yeah, just started playing gigs. And I recruited my sister yet again. We couldn't find a bass player that was really competent. And even though my sister was a drummer, I was like, pulled the big sister card. I was like, you gotta play bass now. Sorry. We need a bass player. And so she did. And so then she was even younger than me and was playing in the bars and stuff with the band. But we had a good time. Yeah.
So Jada went on to play a couple of albums, recorded a couple of albums.
Mhm.
And how did the connection with Gary Katz? Gary Katz, who was a phenomenal producer of Steely Dan, was mesmerized by the band. So how did that all come about?
From playing shows, and we had this awesome fan, Dan, that came to the shows, and he was friends with Gary, and he just said, you know what, I got this guy. I think Gary was getting a little bored, and had just found this new studio he liked to work at in Indiana, and was looking for some bands to produce. And so he did the intro, and Gary and I hit it off. He's such a great guy and so talented.
So with this now, you go out there, the band is working because you're playing at Local Bazooka, you're playing Rock 101, the WAAF festivals, the New Jersey Kiss Expos. How did you get all these gigs? Where did this all come from?
Well, we had a manager that was helping us. So he helped to book us. I love meeting people and connecting. And so I was always out on the town, handing out the cards, flyering. I was like, really into that and talking about the band and making connections. So I got some gigs too. And yeah, so we just kind of made it happen. It was just like, all DIY for the most part.
So with this here, if you're out there hustling to get the band more work and get that kind of networking, you're starting to become aware of the business side of, if you can go out there and really promote this, there could be more work and you could lift this to even a higher level.
Definitely, definitely. I learned a lot just from being interested in the whole overall experience, not just getting on stage and playing, but I ended up making stage plots and, knowing what we need for gear and, advancing shows and booking and learning, who's involved with what. And I really like that aspect. And I kind of just took charge, as far as making sure things ran smoothly, looking for tours, looking for bands that we could play with, that we were good fits with. And I learned a lot from this awesome Boston music scene that was there at the time, a rock scene. I had a lot of great friends that were older that had been in bands for years and years and, knew the booking agent here, or, just, making connections and just trying to figure it all out. I like to know everything. I like to know how it all works.
In this crazy industry, which is very male dominated, what was it like being a woman and being able to go out there? And now you're taking charge, you're taking leadership responsibility to go out there and be more aware of the disciplines of business. Where do you think you got that from?
I think I learned that from my parents. My mom is very assertive and independent, and my dad is a very smart businessman. They ran a company together for 38 years. And I grew up working for them and starting at the ground floor and learning, first you sweep the floors, then you can answer the phone, then you can, get into the business side of things. And so working my way up that way and learning what it takes to manage people. I mean, being in a band is very similar to running a company. You're running a business. If you're taking your band seriously, your band is a business. You're trying to make money. You're trying to make sell albums, you're trying to collect fans. It's all the same thing. So I had a great business sense from my parents. And then doing it as a woman, I think, it felt empowering. I think, I didn't let it stop me. I kind of looked at it as a positive thing. Oh, there's not that many people. That makes me kind of stand out. That's cool.
Well, it's kind of interesting because this kind of perseverance and this kind of drive is so great to see, because you really have pushed yourself to a level of, even, I believe, after Jaded, you then joined the New York-based rock musical Chick 6, right?
I did, yeah. A friend of mine who knew that I played, I think it was kind of MySpace related, back in the day, knew of me, knew of my playing. So I went down to New York and I auditioned and I got the gig. And I really enjoyed working with female musicians. And that was an all-female rock band that played on stage, and the message was just very positive about all these different alter egos of superheroes that kind of contribute to making one girl, the lead character, have all this confidence and pursue her dreams. So that was so much fun. I met a lot of amazing musicians. It was just well written, cool songs. I had a blast doing that. That was a lot of fun.
So now you come down from Boston, you're in the New York area, you're at the Queen's Theater, you're performing, your character is Licks. Where'd you learn that level of confidence and that level of skill to throw yourself into this here? Just, bring it on.
You know what? It's because I didn't know any better. I didn't know not to be confident. The older I get and the more experience I have, the more nervous I get for things. When you don't know what you're supposed to know, you just throw yourself into situations and you don't think twice about it, and it works out. So I wish I was more like that now, actually.
I love the line, ignorant is bliss. And there really is a lot of truth in that when you think about the process.
Sure is. Yeah.
So when after that, you just stay in New York, or what? Did you go back to Boston?
Yeah, I stayed in Brooklyn for a while. I was enjoying it, different atmosphere. And then I went back to Boston, and I just was having trouble with lead singers. We always had the issues with the lead singer, whether, personal or your jealous boyfriends or this or that, or just didn't show up, not reliable. I don't know. It was just always a thing. And that always bummed me out. And I was always just trying to keep everybody motivated. It's really hard to be in a band where everybody has the same level of drive and motivation. And I felt like I was driving things. And then sometimes somebody else wouldn't be that enthused, and you're not making a lot of money when you're trying to do an original band. I mean, it's not easy to just stay in there and be motivated all the time, but I was getting frustrated. So a friend of mine had said, you know what, you should look into just auditioning for other people and being a guitar player for hire. You can just plug in your guitar and your job is to play, and then you leave at the end of the day. And that's it. You don't have to worry about booking and all the things that you're doing. And I was like, really? That's a thing? That's so cool. So my very first audition, he said, yeah. And actually Lady Gaga has an open call audition in New York and you should go. And so I was like, all right. I didn't know any of her music really, because I was really into rock and roll at the time and not super into pop. Ended up not getting the gig, but got the first call back, the second call back, third call back. And I was rehearsing with her for quite a few days. And it was an amazing experience, met a lot of people. And even though I ended up not getting it at that very last round, that's where all my other gigs came from.
So is that how you met Alejandro Sanz?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So I was so depressed. I really thought I was going to get the gig with her. I was so close. And then it was a big letdown when I didn't. And I thought, well, it was my first audition, but I was very hard on myself. And I was like, you know what, if I didn't get it, maybe I'm just not supposed to be a guitar player. Like, this sucks. Like, I was just really narrow-minded at the time and bummed out. Then 6 months later, I get a call from somebody that had seen me at the audition and said, hey, you were great. Remember me from the auditions? I was a bass player there. You were playing guitar. And I know that this artist that I used to work for wants a female guitar player. And you were the first person that came to mind. And so I think you should audition. And I checked him out and I was like, oh my God, this guy is incredible, And so I was like, I'm all in, and auditioned. And that was a very challenging gig for me for many reasons. First of all, again, I didn't speak Spanish and I wanted to, I didn't know some of those chords. I mean, I played rock and metal mostly. So, that it's very flamenco influenced Latin vibe. So it was totally different, got me way out of my comfort zone. One of the best experiences of my life for sure.
So what was that learning curve like? You're put into this situation, you're not totally in that comfort zone that everyone likes to be protected in, and you've got to learn fast how to learn this kind of music. What was that like?
Yeah. So I said yes. I got the gig through a video audition, but then, tour rehearsals are in Madrid in like 2 weeks. And so there's a big repertoire of songs. I honestly wasn't super clear on all the details. I really wasn't sure. I was playing acoustic, electric, lead, rhythm. I didn't know what my parts were for each song. So that stressed me out big time. And I didn't have charts. I didn't get the charts. So I'm trying to just chart everything out and figure it all out. And at the same time, I'm not sure that he speaks a lot of English. I just wasn't sure, I hadn't talked to him yet. And I just thought, I know all his lyrics are in Spanish, but I can't join this amazing, legendary Spanish artist and not know how to speak Spanish. I feel like that would be disrespectful. So on top of being stressed out, learning all these new chords and remembering all the arrangements and learning kind of lead and rhythm and, trying to cover all my bases to be prepared for anything, I'm taking Spanish lessons. I want to learn to speak Spanish in 2 weeks. So I really put the pressure on myself there. I think like a week later, I got a call saying, you know what? Actually, they're going to stick with the same band. So forget about it. And I was bummed, but then I was also relieved. And then a couple of days later, actually change of plans. I hope you're still available. So then I had the kind of less time because I kind of stopped working on it. And then, so anyways, it was stressful. I didn't know anybody. And then when I ended up getting there to rehearsals, I'm meeting the band members, and the bass player doesn't speak any English at all. And I'm trying to compare notes, charts and everything. And she was using the solfege, like the do, re, mi, fa, so. And I'm saying like B flat. And she's like, you mean the soul? And I'm like, oh no, like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like my brain can't take anymore right now. And so that was another whole freak out for me. Like, how are we going to do this? But it all worked out. I had like one breakdown right before I left. I was crying, and my dad I said, Dad, I don't know. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I should go. I don't feel ready. And he was like, well, look, do you think you might die? And I was like, no, why? And he was like, well, if you don't think that your life is in danger, you have to go. That's the answer to everything. He was like, so anyways, I've always thought that, like, okay, if I don't think I'm going to die, I have to try it all. But it worked out, and thank God I did it, because it was just wonderful.
Well, that was a serious tour, and those tunes from what he did were top albums in Mexico and Spain, in the US Latin, Billboard. I mean, it was amazing the exposure that happened from there. But then you went to Vegas with him, right?
Oh, yes, we played the Latin Grammys.
What was that like?
That was amazing. I mean, I never thought I'd be playing on a Grammys show. It was incredible. It was a dream come true. The whole entire tour was surreal. I mean, traveling to all these different countries, meeting all these amazing people, learning about a different culture, learning another language, the food, the everything, and the shows that we did. And we did a lot of TV stuff, a lot of live streaming things, and the Latin Grammys were just, one of the top things on the list. That was amazing. I was very nervous, but it worked out.
How do you take this thing where all of a sudden now you're doing TV shows, you're doing Live with Kelly, you're doing all these different shows, Good Morning America. How did you adapt to playing like on TV? You've got a certain amount of time. You've got to fine tune your playing. You're working on specific tunes. How'd you learn all that, or was that just a matter of, you just kind of learned as you went?
Oh, yeah. Fake it till you make it. Learn as you go. Do whatever you have to do. But one thing that really did help me more than anything was meditating, because I was starting to get nervous. Some of these live TV shows and things like that, you can't mess up. It's live. You're doing the Today Show or something like that. That's scary. That's different than playing a rock show with all this energy and, everybody's drinking and nobody cares if you hit a note, nobody notices, it's so loud and stuff anyways. But the TV stuff is very streamlined and you're in a sterile environment in a studio, and it's like, you can't mess up. So that was one tool that, really reading some real good books on meditation and just being present and focusing and not thinking about all the things that can go wrong, but thinking about how great it's going to be and just envisioning things working out. So that's a tool that I still use daily.
Well, this is a powerful message for everyone that's listening to understand, because that really is what has allowed you to stay in the moment and in the now.
Definitely. You've got to focus. You can't be dwelling on, there was this one part in one song on the Alejandro tour that I was always afraid of. And I would always think about it. For first couple shows, the whole show, I was thinking about this one tiny little 4-second spot in this one song, this tiny little thing in this 2-hour show. I was just fixated on it. And every time I got there, I would get really uptight, and it worked out, but it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And then I read this book, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I have to appreciate every note in every part of the show, and you have to be present. You can't think about the past if you messed up a note in the past song, and because the past is gone and it doesn't really matter, and that will affect your future. And that makes no sense. Just be great in the now. And so anyways, it was hard to wrap my head around. But then once I did it, as soon as I figured it out, I never thought about that part, never screwed up that part ever again. It was just gone. So it's important to learn about yourself and your own little quirks and how to be the best that you can be and not be your own worst enemy.
Boy, good for you. Good for you. You went on then as the lead guitarist, or as a guitarist for, is it Raquel Platten?
Rachel Platten. Yes. Yeah. Yep. The Alejandro tour came to an end, and I was thinking I need a change of scenery here. I got back to Boston. It was all snowy, and I had spent so much time in beautiful South America and in Spain. And, and so I was like, what am I doing in Boston? It's time to go to LA. I want to try LA. Where I got that gig was also somebody else that saw me at the Lady Gaga audition. So it's all kind of tied in. So then I went with her, and she had a top hit on the charts at the time, Fight Song, which, I love that all throughout, my career, I've been surrounded by amazing, strong, talented women, with Jaded, then Chick Six, and then Alejandro's band has some incredible women in it. And then this, which was like an anthem for, strength, and Hillary Clinton took it as her campaign song and stuff like that. So that was great. That was a lot of fun. That was just a new experience too, playing more pop stuff. That was fun.
Well, it's amazing to see the different variety of jobs that you accept out of just the sheer courage of wanting to continue to learn. I mean, that really is something which is really very, very powerful. What was it like then joining Vixen? How'd that come about?
So after the Rachel Platten run, I ended up moving to LA, and I joined an all-female Guns N' Roses tribute band. As soon as things just happen, right? You walk into the rainbow as one does in LA, and another MySpace connection. I recognized the bartender from MySpace, and we talked, and she needed a guitar player, and boom. And so I had never played that circuit of clubs like the Viper Room, the Whiskey, and I had read every, rock star's autobiography, and those are all in there. Those are all, spots that you want to go and play. So we did all that. That was fun. And then I was playing at the Lucky Strike, I think, down in Hollywood. And Vixen's manager was there, and I think they were looking for a guitar player, and a couple people had mentioned my name as well. And so from that gig, I got a call, and they said, "Do you want to come audition?" And so I did, and worked out. And another band of incredible females, and so it's huge honor to play with them.
So you were in the all-female band was Paradise Kitty. That's
Yes.
right? They heard you there. They come by. Now you're in Vixen. You've got to stop and say, listen, this is an incredible story of just things keep happening because you stay positive and you're just living in the moment now. Things are really turning around for you. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, what I realized is when I first started out and I was so disappointed about the Lady Gaga audition, I just realized I had tunnel vision. And I thought that if I didn't get that gig, that I wasn't meant to do that job, be in the music industry. And then I realized, oh, you really need to expand your mind. That was so narrow thinking of me. And it's about the journey, right? As they say, it's not, and you can get to the destination many different ways. So if that one straight path that you thought doesn't work, there's a bunch of scenic routes. And then what they say too is always say yes. If an opportunity comes up, it may not be your thing. Say yes, and that could lead to something else. And and if you enjoy what you do, nothing is really work. And playing music is what you do. It doesn't matter the genre. It's about connecting and the music and the energy. And so it's all been really, really wonderful. And when you do hit an obstacle or a roadblock, I mean, that's good because that you learn from that. So it's all positive. You don't grow and you don't get better if you don't face difficulties, right?
Well, what a very, very healthy outlook. Name me some guitar players that have been influential in you. We know Eddie Van Halen. Who else kind of in your life did you start to pull from and steal from and learn from?
I love Joe Walsh. Definitely David Gilmour. Kirk Hammett. In the beginning, I was just so into Metallica, Megadeth, all the guitar players, Dave Mustaine, James Hetfield, just all the different, rhythm and lead, everybody, you realize what everybody contributes to everything. Billy Gibbons, Santana. I was really into Paul Gilbert. I was into a lot of shredding and fast, fancy, flashy stuff in the beginning. And then I really got more into Hendrix and just realizing the importance of just bending that one note and holding it, and that, like, how powerful that is, as opposed to, you don't need to do all the fireworks to pull on the heartstrings. So, yeah, those are some. And
Well,
I'm leaving out a zillion. I mean, I loved Zakk Wylde was a really big influence in the beginning. All of Ozzy's guitar players.
I love it. During this pandemic, people have been held back because of traveling. It's been a challenge this past year and maybe even a little bit longer. What have you been doing during the pandemic that has been keeping you focused and in tune with your music?
Well, I am so grateful. I'm so blessed that I have been very busy this entire pandemic, shifting, adapting, doing the tours are canceled, but I've been working with David Fishoff at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And I started getting involved with the camps before the pandemic, the live camps. But then once the pandemic hit, he was like, let's take this online. So I have been hosting and helping produce all these online master classes.
Nice.
And we started them over the summer, and we were doing them nightly for a while. And so putting in 10, 12-hour days, but loving it and learning again. He's an amazing mentor and just person to learn from. He's had so much experience in the sports as a sports agent and of course as a music agent, and then producing these camps. And so he's really creative and inspiring, and we talk and work together every single day. And so he keeps me really motivated. And it's been incredible to meet some of my idols and be interviewing them and talking to them. And I've also been meeting, in addition to the artists, managers and record producers, just was talking to Eddie Kramer earlier. It's just, it's opened up a whole different part of the music industry for me right now of this pandemic. So I'm so grateful for that. And so that's been incredible.
Well, it's obviously the balance of your talent and your business skills and your personality and your positive attitude, that's all a good mixture of what you're presenting to all these different musicians.
Well, thanks, try to see the good in everything. And, I actually, at first I was like, okay, the pandemic, I'll relax a little bit. I'll paint more. I'll get more, to do more hobbies, but then I've actually been so busy. I've been putting some hobbies on the back burner, but it's okay. But in addition to doing, rock camp stuff, I mean, I've been doing more painting. I love to do acrylic, abstract and mixed media stuff. I've been doing a lot more photography, a lot more cooking, a lot more outdoor activities, a lot of hiking, and just trying to stay busy. I don't even have time for everything. I've had the same book that I haven't finished since the beginning of the pandemic. So but it's good. I'm so happy about all of it. Yeah.
The business side of what we try to offer here at the sessions, this really is kind of interesting because there's so many musicians out there that watch these interviews. How are you able to balance all of the business side? Are you a disciplined person? Are you organized? Do you take charge of what you're doing? Are you mapping out a plan? Do you have like a 2, 5, and a 10-year plan of where you want to be? How do you put all this together?
I could be better with the 5-year plan thing for sure. I'm kind of in the moment, but I am very disciplined with work. I make to-do lists every day, every night. Before going to bed, that's what I do. Okay, what does my day look like tomorrow? How do I time management is huge for me. So I'm big on that. I need to plan more about the future, but I'm working on that. Sometimes it's like, I just got to get through the end of today and make sure I get everything today done.
Well, it sounds like it's a work in progress, which is fantastic.
Yes.
What motivates you?
Driven, excited people, ideas, nature. I get ideas from, taking a walk down the street. I get motivated from watching documentaries. I love learning about other people and their experiences and their journeys. Hearing a new band or a new song that I never discovered motivates me. But not just musicians. I mean, really just people that are passionate and follow their dreams. It's motivating. And success isn't as motivating as drive and somebody's will to accomplish something that they feel really strongly about.
Fantastic. We have all of these phenomenal people that watch these interviews. The comments are always fantastic, and they're so into hearing what these artists have to say, and you're offering such great information. What would you say in closing, Britt? You've got thousands of people listening to this, in time, as this goes on year after year, what would you say to this next generation on what they need to secure within themselves to give them the hope to continue on and have an incredible music career?
I mean, I think the same advice I would give is the same advice that was given to me. And I think it will never change. If this was 100 years in the future, the advice would still be the same. Follow your dreams and never give up. If you are passionate about something, your heart knows. You have to trust your gut. You have to trust your heart. If your heart is saying you need to do something and pursue this, you have to, or you'll never be happy with yourself, or you'll regret, or you'll wonder what would have happened. What if I followed my dreams? What if I didn't take this other job? And so you got to be happy with yourself. You have to answer to yourself at the end of the day. So follow your dreams. And if your passion dies, or if you feel less enthused about something, that's okay too. That doesn't mean that you have failed, because as we go through life, we enter different phases of our lives, and different things motivate us at different ages. My dad always says, is it doesn't take a very smart cowboy to know that if your horse falls down dead, you got to get off and walk. If the passion dies for something, don't beat yourself up about it. You didn't fail. It's time to go on another path, and you might want to try something else. But whatever your heart tells you is right. And a big thing for me was, don't compare yourself to others. There's a million amazing guitar players out there. And if I tried to compare myself to all them and judged myself based on others' success and others' skills, that would be really depressing. But there's nobody like you, and you are the best you there will ever be. And do what works for you. And if you're good at something, play to your strengths. That's a big one for me.
I love it. Britt Lightning. It probably should be Britt Nuclear Blast.
Okay, I'll look into changing that. I'll see if that URL is available.
You have offered some tremendous advice. You have a wonderful career that you're doing. You play great. You are a great example and a role model for all musicians, and of course, even women, and how you carry yourself, how articulate you are, and how intelligent you are. This is really a big part of 21st century music, which you are absolutely a part of. On behalf of the Artist Series At a Distance, we thank you so much, and I hope someday to meet you in person.
I sure hope so too. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Dom Famularo here, the Sessions panel. This is so exciting. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Click the subscribe button to be a part of what we're doing. The views help us tremendously. All of your comments, we read them and react to them. This is incredible. The support you're giving us is great. The Sessions panel. We'll see you real soon.